Welcome to Steelers Weekly. I'm your host, Brian Schmidt, and with me, as always, former Pittsburgh Steeler wide receiver, Dwight Stone. Dwight, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, having a great week. How about your week? How you doing?
Oh, just trying to stay cool and,
okay.
trying to make sure that I stay away from people, apparently. So, as long as I do those two things, I guess I'm all right. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm in a great mood right now. Where if we were at practice, I get to yell at the offensive line, defensive line.
There you
go. So always works out well.
Always.
So big win.
Wow.
Albeit very interesting. Not sure how to describe it. Kind of a win. 24-20 over the Bengals. Down 20-9 and down. We almost got it. 27-20.
I think you got it. Yeah. You did.
I had 27-20. So almost got it. But
yes.
And I think we were close to yours, weren't we?
No, I don't even know what I said.
I think we were close to yours too, because I think we were both in the same ballpark. So.
Okay.
I'm not even sure how to describe this game. Down 20-9 at halftime. Give up nothing in the second half. Come back and win. Normally kickers don't get a whole lot of love, but Chris Boswell, 6 of 6, and these weren't chip shot field goals.
Well, they were not.
You're talking 6 field goals. 3 of them were 49. Had a 45-yarder, a 40, and his chip shot the whole game was a 30.
Mm.
And I was. First of all, kickers, like I said, they don't get a lot of love. But I was impressed. He was going out there and they drill him.
Drill him.
Which of course now the NFL decides today that to go ahead and drug test them. He must have shot some human growth hormone into his leg before the game, apparently.
Oh yeah.
According to the way they look at it. But talk about when you got a kicker going out there, just drill them.
You got a kicker like that coming out there. That's like Morton Anderson back in the day, and Gary Anderson, called Mr. Reliable. Them guys go out there. Everybody start getting ready for kickoff because they're going to make it. They one of those, hey, Mr. Reliable, come out there. And he's Mr. Reliable on Sunday, 6 for 6. And
which tied a Steeler record.
Wow.
That tied a Steeler record with Anderson, and there was one other kicker in there.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, that tied a Steeler single game record for field goals in a game.
I know that.
Yeah,
I know that.
So that's pretty impressive. Without Mr. Boswell making these kicks, this game could have been a whole lot different.
Whole lot different.
And let's talk about the offense. Ben, a good day, 21 of 36, 286, 1 touchdown. Bell, 23 carries, 93 yards. But yet and we were kind of talking about this beforehand, and I've kind of noticed it, and you've kind of noticed it. It never seems like the running game and the passing game right now is ever on the same plane. The running game one week looks great, and that same game, the passing game, not so much. Then you get a week where the passing game looks great, the running game, not so much. This game was kind of I'm not sure which one was better than the other because at times neither one looked very good. But then there were other times where both, you're not running the ball well, but then you throw it well. Then all of a sudden, so again, very hard to explain how this went offensively. What was your take?
Yeah, like you said, at one time the running game was doing good, moving the ball up and down, And then if that stalled, then you had the passing game. But they never really got to the point where they're getting, like, say, 3 points. You got like 6 field goals and 3 points. That's 18 points. Sooner you got to put a touchdown in. Somehow run, pass, somehow you got to start putting 7s on the board because 3s are not going to win it. We talked about that. And for them to get on the same page, that would be nice. I mean, if you want to peek out and both running game and passing game working, I tell you, starting with the Ravens coming up, it won't be no better time than to start doing it now going into the playoffs.
Yeah, and, it just seems to me that receiving-wise, missing a little something at times. I think we see, obviously Antonio Brown, even though he only had 3 catches, 58 yards, I mean, he's a force. Bell out of the backfield had 5 catches. Eli Rogers had 5 catches. Green had 5 catches. To me, Green is a huge key, and hopefully he'll get out of that concussion protocol for this game. But it just feels like, obviously not having Bryant with him being suspended, that's a huge deal. Mm-hmm. It just feels like, there's a bullet in the chamber missing. Never feels like, with even all the talent that's out there, it just seems like there's just that deep threat, go get it, wide receiver. Just still don't have that. We don't have that guy, and obviously Bryant being that guy that we don't have. Yes. It seems like to me it feels we're creating a situation where we just don't have that big, which is why I know when Floyd got released from Arizona, a lot of people were clamoring to get Floyd in here. But, talk a little bit about the receiving core and what you're seeing, because obviously at this point, it just doesn't feel like we're hitting all cylinders.
Yes, I mean, it's like Russian roulette. You put a bullet in the chamber and you spin it. You hopefully if it clicks, it's a misfire. You want it to go off. And I think that, you got Antonio and teams realize that, hey, if we double Antonio, we can put our other corner or whoever on the other receiver. They have yet to prove themselves. And that's been one of the things I think the Steelers are missing. Not saying the receivers aren't trying, but, trying and doing the job is something different. Hopefully D'Angelo will come back, and maybe that'll put a spark into something different. If you got 2 good running backs up there, that'll give you another possibility of a receiver, because both of them young men can run out the backfield. That's a mismatch for any linebacker to guard any one of them. If you have both of them in the backfield, that'd be a plus. I thought D'Angelo would be coming back last week. Now they're saying it's a possibility coming back this week. But yeah, they need to find that slack, because Green, I didn't know he was in the protocol of a concussion. And Jesse James, somehow if you start putting 2 tight ends, 1 receiver, and 2 good backs, I mean, you never know. That could be a good setting.
Well, I mean, Jesse James had no catches. I know he dropped. I know at least one he dropped. Eli Rogers had 5 catches. Eli Rogers is an inside receiver. He's not an outside guy. Sammy Coates has completely disappeared. He had 1 catch for 10 yards, but I mean, he has completely disappeared. He was the guy they were hoping was going to replace Bryant this year. He has not done that. So I mean, really, you feel like when you watch the passing game, you really feel like it's forced. It just, there's not that feeling that you want to double team Antonio. That's great. We're gonna be able to beat you on the other side. Green, with the 2 tight ends sent, that was a great part with Green, because Green gives you the vertical set from the tight end spot, but he's not an outside receiver, obviously. So I think we're seeing, that deficiency right there, and it makes a good, and even with all that, I mean, it's still a good offense. You just feel like you're just, not hitting on all cylinders, and this was a great game. Again, the penalties, a big problem. But just the lack of execution, a couple drops here and there, things like that, just that lack of execution, now make you put your kicker in a position to have to kick 6 field goals.
That's right.
Which normally is not going to win you a whole lot of games.
And not in the NFL. No, sir.
Yeah, but now, let's turn around and talk about the defense. 20 points in the first half. And interesting, watching the game at the local sports bar with some people, when Hill ran the touchdown and grabbed a terrible towel and stomped on it.
Yes.
I immediately said
that
will be a turning point in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, it was. Defensively, and I think two things stuck out at me and get your take. One is Bengals offensively moved the ball well early. Obviously, them not having their top receiver hurt them immensely. And as you've seen, when you don't have those weapons, it causes a problem. I thought Jeremy Hill only had 20 carries, 43 yards. I thought as the game went on, bottled him up. We didn't have an answer for Burkhead early as well. Burkhead was looking like the second coming of Walter Payton.
Walter Payton, yes.
I was getting nervous there for a while. I mean, this guy's going to have the game of his life.
His life, yes.
But then in the second half, the adjustments made. I thought the Steelers did a better job overall. Some real nice zone blitz, different things. Timmons with the interception. I thought even in a situation where Artie Burns had a couple pass breakups, some couple great plays. Artie Burns, I think, is coming into his own.
Yes, he is.
Talk about the defense. I mean, this was definitely a solid defensive performance, I thought.
I mean, you hit it right. I mean, they came out kind of flat the first half, and you're thinking like, oh man, this is not looking good. They're letting them score, and the offense is sputtering over there. Need somebody, to get it going. Sure enough, like you said, once you stepped on that towel or whatever they did to cause that, I don't know if Myron Cope from up above, said enough of this, and he probably went in the huddle with them and told them, hey guys, they're stepping on a terrible tower, And the way they came out the second half, like you said, they like to flip the switch. They went from a team that the guy's going to be Walter Payton to the guy just like, who's that guy again now? Because they was coming from all over. And they kept bringing it, and they kept bringing it, and they kept getting the offense, in good field position, giving them a chance to score points. No matter what the offense did in the Bengals, the defense for the Steelers had to answer for it. And, I mean, that's the kind of games you need, especially coming later in the year, because it's like if you win, you continue to move on. If you don't win, you're going to be going home. And I think that's the kind of win that hopefully will project them against the Ravens, which we'll focus on right then because I don't want to think about the Browns because they're going to sell their soul in the last week. But, yeah, I think this is going to be a big game coming up because the defense have to come through because, believe me, they're going to throw everything after them. When you're 9-5 and 8-6, and they already beat them the first time, and this is going to be a big game coming up.
Yeah, it is, and let's get into that. Christmas Day.
Christmas Day.
Going to be a big one. Ravens. This pretty much to me. I mean, yes, if the Steelers lose, there's a lot of other ways they can get into the playoffs. However, to me, this is almost your season right now.
There you go. You said it a couple of weeks ago. You said it's way early in the year.
Absolutely.
It's going to come back and be the game of the year, and here it is.
Here's a game that, in my mind, everything. Again, you don't want to have to worry about getting help from other people to get in.
That's right.
So this is a must-win game. This is your season right here. Baltimore was a 27-26 winner over the Eagles, and the Eagles had scored and went for 2 to win and did not get it. Interesting call, and you want to get your take on that. If you're the Eagles in that situation, I mean, it's easy to sit here and second guess, but was that the right call to go for 2?
I have no idea why they did it. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know if they felt they had this certain play that was guaranteed to score for them, because that's something that I wouldn't have done that. Like I said, it's hindsight, but I rather err on caution, especially something like that, especially at the end of the game going into something like that, and trust your defense.
Well, and I guess the way I looked at it, and maybe I'm looking at it from the Eagles side and trying to figure out why they did. My first thought was, well, maybe, obviously they're a 5-win team right now. They're not going anywhere. Hey, you know what? Let's try to get this win. You're on the road. Maybe you feel like I don't know if I want to go to overtime with these guys on the road, but to me, I agree with you. I kind of felt that, man, I think I'd have rather taken my chances going to overtime, but it's easy to second guess that now than when you're in that situation.
So
but
you know that.
I really, I second guessed the call when they did it. I thought, man, is this the right call to make? But be that as it may, I mean, what if they would have gone for 2 or they would have gone to overtime and won that game? What a huge situation that would have been to go ahead and be 2 up.
Wow,
that would have been huge. So, a lot of things about that. But I mean, here we are. I mean, this is for everything. This is championship, division championship. This is playoffs. This is everything. So I mean, here we are.
It's here.
And with this Baltimore team, again, and we talked about this the first time we played them. This is not a great offensive team by any stretch of the imagination. They do just enough. I think Flacco. I will say this. I think Flacco's had a tremendous year.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at his stats. He's thrown for 3,788 yards.
Wow.
I mean, 19 touchdowns. They seem to do just enough. I mean, the Steelers average 374 yards a game offensively. The Ravens 347. They average 256 yards passing to 262 for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh averages 111 yards rushing a game to their 90. It just seems like they have found a way to win games. And so, I mean, just kind of give me your take on Baltimore, because I think it's
yeah. I mean, you said
it's an interesting team.
Mm-hmm. You said this probably like 6-7 games ago. That's going to probably come down to the Baltimore Ravens and the Steelers on Christmas. And sure enough, it's coming down to them. They went up there in Baltimore, the Ravens. Everybody, and look. If you look on paper, you say, okay, the Steelers should go there. Okay, won't win easily, but they should take this game and move on. But sure enough, they went up there, and Wallace had, I think, one of the longest touchdowns of the year. And I think he was very happy, to take it to somebody, any other team that's like the Steelers. And it's just strange when you look at it, because they're coming to Pittsburgh on Christmas. And believe me, they're saying the same thing they said the first time. We beat them the first time at our place. Why can't we do it again? Our game plan is this. They got young guys out there at corner, but the corners have since matured. Burns have since matured a lot, doing that. They hopefully learn something. And they got to realize, too, they can go deep on them. They're going to try to throw the ball deep on them, because they got Wallace out there. And they're going to try to bet on throwing it toward him and taking it from there. And like so, Flacco's had a good year, like you said, and I don't see him changing anything coming this week.
No, look, and here's the thing too. I mean, The Ravens have won, I believe, 6 in a row, and I think 7 of the last 9 or something like that. So I mean, a very interesting situation where we've not exactly had great success against the Ravens here recently. So everything's got to change here. I mean, this is a huge game. Defensively, I think the Ravens have played decently. Again, nothing about the Ravens sticks out at you. I mean, they're not, it's not like they're, this team there you look at stat and you go, yeah, look at this is what they do. Mm-hmm. This is a team that, first of all, and I will say this, I think, Harbaugh is one of the top coaches in the NFL, because I don't think talent-wise this Raven team is an 8-6 team. I think they just and I will say this, I think Pittsburgh has more talent across the board, but Harbaugh first of all, they're great with game plans, and one thing about them that's different from, and just having played the Bengals, they make great in-game adjustments.
Yes.
When you look at the Bengals, quite honestly, I mean, there was no in-game adjustments offensively or defensively. When you watch the Ravens play, they rarely ever get blown out because they are always adjusting. They're always making great adjustments. And I know from you as a former player, I mean, that's got to be a very important deal from a standpoint that that your coaches are always going to put you in the best position to win a football game.
Yes, I mean, even though you're a coach, and if anybody knows, you seeing something that, hey, this game plan we put in is not working, we got to have a plan, a backup plan, just in case. You're not planning on using that backup plan, but it's always good to have one in place. And then, okay, what are we going to do? They did not adjust. They didn't try to adjust. But you said the Ravens, they started seeing after 2 or 3 series that, hey, we got else we can change something up. Because if you got a team that got you against the ropes, you can do the rope-a-dope only for so long, like Muhammad Ali. The rope-a-dope only going to last for a while. When you start hitting them on the head, that's when things start changing. And the Bengals never adjusted to it, but the Ravens will adjust to it, and they will adjust to it real fast.
Yeah, and again, when you use that contrast, in the Bengals game, I never felt like Cincinnati. I think they were looking around, and again, when you're a team that's relying upon an A.J. Green as an example offensively, you don't have A.J. Green. Now, I felt like they were looking around going, okay, we have no idea what to do next. Where Baltimore, talent-wise, not very good offensively, with the exception of Flacco. They've got good guys, but they don't have that one dominant guy. But yet, hey, maybe it's Wallace this week that becomes the big guy. Maybe it's the running game. Terrence West. Maybe we're getting the ball to him. Maybe, hey, we're getting it to our tight end. Maybe we're getting Steven. I mean, when you look, and I'll give you an example with the Ravens. I mean, when you look, their tight end is the leading receiver with 67 catches, but Mike Wallace has 64 and Steve Smith has 60. You got 3 guys within 7 catches of each other.
Oh, that's nice. That's finding a way to get people involved. And then and this is the other interesting stat. When you go to the next group of receivers, after Steve Smith, it drops down to the next receiver has 33 catches. But from there, you've got 33 catches, 27 catches, 27 catches, 26 catches, 26 catches. That's
it's almost like having a tier 1. Here's our 3 guys, and then here's our tier 2. But the balance. I mean, you're talking just in that second tier. You're talking the difference between 5 guys being 7 catches.
Exactly.
So they find a way to get the job done. I mean, it doesn't matter. When you go on to prom, it don't matter how pretty she is, as long as you go on to prom. And that's kind of the Ravens' way on the passing game. Which, it is what it is right now. Defensively, they again not the Ravens' defense of old, but at the same time, they doing just enough. They game plan well. They put themselves in a position to win the football game. And this is a team where if they're in a position to win the football game with a few minutes left, you can't necessarily count them out, because more times than not, they seem to make the right call at the right time.
Yes.
To make a play.
Yes. You hit it right. I mean, they could be called Just Enough team. That's their name, Just Enough. They do just enough to make things happen. You ain't got to be pretty. Like you said, hey, you go to the prom, you go to the ugliest girl around, but you at the prom. Everybody can't say you didn't go to the prom. But just the thing is, it may be ugly. I'd rather take an ugly win than a pretty loss. I think that's their motto,
Absolutely. And when you look at their injuries right now, compared to Pittsburgh, I think it's a little. I know for a fact that they have not reported any injuries yet for this week from looking on the NFL.com.
Wow.
Where unfortunately, when you're Pittsburgh, and you go to their injuries, I mean, it's gonna read like a laundry list of. First of all, I mean, Steeler-wise, we're only down to three good offensive linemen or defensive linemen right now. We're down to three. Well, they technically they haven't reported yet either. So, but we know that the injuries are for Pittsburgh is pretty substantial. For defensive line is down to 3 healthy defensive linemen. Ladarius Green is in concussion protocol. So I'm trying to look and see what other injuries right now, because I know it's been, I know like it's a pretty good laundry list of injuries here, but let's look here. We've got Green's in concussion protocol. He's questionable. Tuitt knees questionable. Thomas, concussion, questionable. Darius Hayward-Bay with that foot is questionable.
Goodness.
So am I looking at the right? Yeah, I am. Okay. So, we've definitely got some injuries going on here. I'm kind of looking and want to see what Baltimore has, because it hasn't been updated on the league website on Wednesday, but that doesn't usually mean anything. You can it's been reported, so I'm trying to look and see what they got. The Ravens right now, none of their big guys. Zach Thompson's out. Trent Richardson, he questionable. Not really big. There's no big names on there. Looking at it real quick. So yeah, the Steelers are a bit less healthy than Ravens right now, especially at the defensive line spot. So that's going to be a big deal. That's going to be a huge deal, because I have felt that the Steeler defensive line has played pretty well, and because they've played well, they've really made the linebackers. When your defensive line's playing well, it makes your linebackers better.
Exactly.
Here's a situation where if you don't have that, this could get very interesting very fast.
Mm-hmm.
So we're at a. Yeah, again, this is what you want. You want to control your destiny, and you want to have it done. So with that, give me an idea how you think this game will play out.
If the Steelers can stop even though they got a little run game going on, they had 151 yards last week against the Eagles. and they was 4 of their last 6, and they had 100 yards rushing, including one against the Steelers. The Steelers got to make sure they can stop the run. You stop the run on them, they have nothing but a one dimension. And I'll take the one dimension. But if you start giving them a possibility of being able to run the ball and throw the ball, now you got a two-headed monster. We don't need that. Even though we got a three-headed monster now with the kicker and on our team. I'm thinking the score will be coming up to, I didn't check the weather, but I'm going to say it will be 24-20.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same with you. I think, this has really got to come down to what kind of Steeler offense shows up, and we cannot allow them to have the ability to run in and throw the football. I think the defense, and I keep hearing people say, the Steeler defense is still suspect. I agree to a point, except I will say this: I think since early in the season, I think the Steeler defense has improved greatly as the year has gone on. And look, this is not Steeler defense that I think people are used to.
Exactly.
This is a Steeler defense that's going to give up some yards, going to give up a few scores, but this is a Steeler defense that will make some plays. And I think that, in my opinion, they have improved greatly. Since the last Baltimore game, I think they have improved greatly. I think turnovers. We at one point we were talking about just how few interceptions the DBs had, and then all of a sudden, here they come with interceptions. I think they do a great job of, a much better job at least of making adjustments. With that, I see this being a 2017 Steeler game. I mean, it's the Ravens. It's going to be close. This is not going to be if it's a blowout, I'm shocked. This is going to be a close game. But, this is control your destiny, and that's what they're playing for.
You get your money worth this week.
That's it. I mean, this is what you get paid for. So, well, we're going to wrap this up. Any final words this week?
Well, buddy, I hope you have a Merry Christmas, and I pray that your weekend better than the way it started. And I'm looking forward to talking to you next week after a big win and have a division.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hope you guys have a great Christmas. I hope everybody listening has a great Christmas. I hope everybody listens to a lot of the great shows that we have. We've got everything. We've got boxing. We've got MMA coming up. We've got basketball, football, you name it. Got NFL Pick'em show, which I'm within a game of the lead right now. So I'm fighting on that one. Yeah. Got a college football Pick'em show that I've only missed one game so far.
Wow. You should went to Vegas.
I know. I should have called you and been like, look, we can double our investment. Yeah. You and I could be spending 2017 doing Steelers weekly from Cancun.
I'm saying we could, couldn't we? We'll have a little margarita. Right. Oh, I should say that. Okay, a little Mountain Dew in my hand.
Yeah, I don't have a little Mountain Dew in my hands and doing the show from doing. Yeah, I'm not saying what's going to be in the Mountain Dew, but when the Mountain Dew gets there from there and talk about the effort, that'd be great. Yeah, but I mean, I've missed one so far. But don't count on that. Don't count on that sticking, because college bowl games are they're rough to predict sometimes, because as I was explaining on the show, I mean, it's just these college bowl games. You've got those games where you're going to have one team that's extremely excited about being there, and you're going to have another team that's going, why are we here? Mm-hmm. And some of those games are coming up, and those games always go one of two ways. And I'll give you an example: Mississippi State and Miami of Ohio. Mississippi State's going to a bowl game with a 5-7 record.
Yes.
Miami of Ohio is 6-6, but they were 0-6 to start the year. They won 6 straight. Who's more excited about being there?
Exactly.
So Mississippi State's either going to blow Miami of Ohio out, or Miami of Ohio is going to get an upset. It's probably not going to be an in-between.
Now, we're going to need some of these
so those are the games that are tough.
Mm-hmm.
Because the conventional wisdom is an SEC team is going to beat a MAC team. But, you know, as we've seen in bowl games, how many times does that turn around? Because, you know, if you're Mississippi State, how excited are you to be in the, you know, whatever bowl it is, Tire Iron Bowl, whatever it is. I don't know. But so, you know, it's going to be interesting. But with that, we'll wrap this up, and I hope everybody has a great Christmas, and we will talk to everybody next week. Take care, everybody.